Hey guys, I'm Nicole here at DIY and today we're going to make some giant pegboards. Alright, so there's a couple of ways that you can make these pegboards depending on your budget. Now, if you've got no budget and you're happy to spend whatever you need to, you can use 3/4 to an inch thick plywood. We actually need around about this thickness to be able to have enough ledge for the peg to actually go in and not tip upwards. If you're only using sort of a 1/4 of an inch or like 6 or 7 mil, then you're not going to have enough of an angle for the peg to actually sit, and the peg will just droop down like this. Okay, so option 1, 3/4 of an inch to an inch thick. And you can get it in marine grade, you can get it in radiata pine, you can get lots of different plywood. So just choosing whatever kind of front face you would like. Option 2, if you want to do it a lot cheaper actually, is you can use a much thinner plywood. So we actually use just a 7mm plywood. And then we actually used some just scrap pine backing onto the back of the plywood in the positions that we were going to put the holes in, just to give it that extra thickness wherever the holes were so that the pegs would go in nice and straight. So that way we saved at least probably half the money that we would have spent if we had have spent it on sort of 3/4 of an inch to an inch thick material. And we actually went with hardwood marine grade ply for our front, 7mm or 6mm, and then did the scrap at the back. So those are your two options. I'm going to be showing you in this video how you can sort of do both. So there'll be a little bit of mixing and matching. All right, let's stop talking and just go make these things, shall we? Let's go. The first thing we did was mark up a grid on one of our boards. So we're doing 3 large peg walls, but if you're only doing 1, then just mark it up on your 1. But if you are doing 3, you only need to mark it up on 1. We did 20cm grid section, and then the edges are just an even sort of shorter amount. And because we're using the thinner, we've got the 3 clamped together so that we can drill through all 3 at the same time with a pilot hole. And that automatically gives us our holes on the other 2 boards. We chose to do our holes in the same position, both vertically and horizontally. But if you want to do offset, just add extra lines every 10 centimeters on the vertical, and then each alternate row, you just move 1 spot over. Next up, it's time to drill your holes. Now, I chose 25mm dowels, so I needed 25mm hole bits. So this one's called a spade bit, and this one's a Forstner bit. I experimented with both, and I found that a Forstner bit gave a much cleaner hole, but it took a lot longer because I had to use my drill. That was my only option. Whereas with a spade bit, I could actually use my driver because it has a hex shaft. So this meant that I could really get in there fast and get through everything. Now with both of these, what you need to do to avoid tear out on the back is flip it over once you've got through half of it and you can see a little bit of the hole out the back. Then go through from the back side through to the front side and you'll get a nice clean hole every time. You only really need to worry about the back being a nice clean hole if you're using these for something like a market display and people might actually see the back. And obviously you would need to be using the thicker material rather than the thinner material with the scrap pieces behind. So if you are doing the thicker and you want to make sure that you're doing the nice clean back, do the whole thing standing up. And then that way it's easy to get from one side to the other. Don't try and do this with the 3 thinner pieces all clamped together because you will start getting tear out in the middle of the sheets. Now, another little tip for you, when using something like a spade bit with a drill, it can actually kick back on you and it can break your wrist. So to try and give you a bit of an example, it can get stuck and then it will twist your wrist really fast. So do be careful of that. It does happen when you're sort of got it half in kind of thing. But yeah, it'll only sort of happen if you're kind of trying to puncture it when there's not much in there. Does that make any sense? Does that make any sense?
It certainly does, thank you.
Now, if you can only afford the thinner plywood, so the 1/4 inch or 6 or 7 mil, this is how you want to set it up. So make sure you've got your pilot holes already drilled, not your bigger holes. So just ignore the fact that I have bigger holes drilled here. I did this wrong, and was my way of fixing up. So you've got your pilot holes, and that will guide you as where you're going to put your scraps of timber. So pop down some liquid nails, glue your scrap on to make sure it comes up to about 1 inch in thickness, and then weigh it down with some heavy things. Obviously, this isn't going to look quite as nice on the back, so this is great if you're hanging these on a wall permanently. So after my glue had dried, I put down some scrap timber underneath so that I could do this from above. And it's obviously a lot easier on your wrist if you're doing it from above. Next up, we need a really strong way to attach this to a wall, because this is going to be very heavy, especially when you've got things on display on top. If you want to do legs instead, because you're doing it for a market, I'll pop a video down below that will sort of show you. It won't be my video, but I'll link to somebody else's. Okay, so this wall mounting system is called a French cleat, and we are going to DIY it. And just a side note that if you are using the adding scrap to a thinner plywood method, then you need to make your cleat the same thickness as your other scraps. Okay, so here's the piece of timber that we're going to use for our French cleat. So the first thing I do is I mark the piece that's going to be attached to the wall and the piece that's going to be attached to the panel or whatever I'm hanging up. So then I figure out, okay, I know that from the wall I need to come back this way, and I'm going to try and get this sort of roughly in the middle. Now this angle does not need to be 45. It's actually probably a bit easier if it's more like 30, because then you're sort of not sort of cutting such a long angled cut. We want to sort of have enough that we can still drill down into here and have enough at the back here. Now on my circular saw, I want to bring this to about a 30-degree cut. It can be 25, it can be 45, it can be whatever, as long as it's consistent. So let's bring this to 30, clamp that down, and I've also got my edge guide here. So the edge guide, I need to make sure, once I've got my sort of rough angle in the middle, then I can mark where I actually need to cut along. It's not going to be sort of right down the center. It's going to be, this is my sort of center right here. Hope that makes sense. I don't know. So now I want to line up my 0 with this line. Okay, so I'm going to unscrew this. Oh, wait, actually. We're going to be up the other end because my angle actually goes this way, and I want to make the cut this way. So I'm actually going to flip this around. So I need to mark on this end in the same spot. All right. Now let's get our 0 right on that line, and then we can tighten down our edge guide and just double check that that was good. Yep. Okay, so I'm just putting a piece of timber down so I've got something to lean on, and it doesn't matter if I cut into this piece of timber, it's just a piece of scrap. All right, now I want to try and keep the plate here as flat as possible. It feels a bit different when you've got this 45-degree angle, but just try and keep this nice and flat. Alrighty, let's cut. Let's put a battery in first. These together, because if I sort of mix these up and put other pieces together, they're not going to clamp together properly. But so even if I did a bit of a wobble like I did, it's a little bit of an arc here, it doesn't matter because they still fit perfectly. The wall is going to be back here where I've written wall panel. So you'll be drilling through this part into the wall, but then when you're screwing this part onto the panel, the panel is going to be here through the panel into this, so that they come together. So think of this wall plate as a hook, and I'll show you that in a sec. All right, but what we need to do is create a hole that is wide enough for this to sink through the timber and for the head to sit flush within this piece. So what I've got is a drill bit that is the same thickness as my bolt. And I've also got a spade bit that is a little bit wider than my head here, so that I've got enough space to tighten this within the wall. So these are diner bolts. Basically, you just drill a nice wide hole for them so that they just fit snug. You hammer them in, and then you tighten this part and it will expand down here inside the wall and make a really, really, really strong connection. We also need to do the spade bit first, because if we drill the hole first, it'll be a little bit of too big a hole to be able to get this in the center. So always do your spade bit first if you're setting something in. So I'm gonna go about here, and keep in mind that you've only got this shallow bit. You don't wanna go right in the center here, because you'll be coming through not quite in the middle. So your middle of this piece is about here. Okay, and I'll just check that that depth is right by putting my head in here. Yep, that will make it sit. Ooh, I'm gonna go 1 more mil. There we go. Perfect, that will make it sit nice and flush. Now I'm gonna put my other drill bit on. All the way through. Okay, and now our bolt is going to be able to sit down in here. And if it's a little bit snug, definitely do that test bit. Don't try and screw this, because that will make this start expanding. So what I'm going to do to make it a bit less snug is just a bit of a run around like that. And then I'm going to be able to put that into the wall nice and easy. Okay, pull that back out. All right, let's do another one up the other end. Now let's pop this up on our wall and mark where our holes are, so we know where to start with our masonry drill bit. Okay. And with the masonry bit, you want to let the masonry bit do the work. We also want to make sure that we're on hammer drill to give us a hammering action. It helps us get through these really hard substances quicker, or easier, not quicker. But you don't want to be using a whole lot of force, because all that will do is start hitting up the masonry bit, and then it will start to bend, and it will either bend or break. So we're just going to let the masonry bit sort of slowly gouge out as we go. That should be deep enough. Now we want to get out all this excess dust as well. You can use a pipe cleaner, or I just generally come back out a few times just to get that debris out. Okay, now let's grab our cleat. Go, and then I'm just going to push that in, and then I'm going to grab my hammer. Until we are flush. There we go, and we're not going to tighten it just yet, okay? Okay, now that I've got these on and they're nice, it's nice and level, now I can tighten them. So I have a hex drill bit in here, and I'm just going to go really, really slow. Let me put you on my shoulder again. Just until you can hear a bit of a click. Oops. There we go. Just a couple of turns and we're in. So what I want to do is measure what is the sort of top of the ceiling here to the top of this, and then I'm going to take 2 centimeters off that amount to know where to mount this part on my panel. And now it's time to take the cleat apart. So you can take off your paper tape, which you use to hold it together, and just lift it upwards. And this is what your cleat should look like. So a nice little point upwards, and then that's what we're going to hook up and over to hang our panel. Now we're going to take our part of the cleat that attaches to the pegboard, and we're going to draw on the front exactly where it needs to sit. So draw a divider, center line, mark a center line on the cleat as well, and then measure down the amount of centimeters you need to with that plus 2 centimeters or whatever extra you want to have between the ceiling and the top of the pegboard. And then we're also going to mark it on the back in exactly the same spot. We need to be able to drill through the front into the cleat that we've glued onto the back. So that's why we have to do front and back. Now we're going to pop some construction adhesive or liquid nails onto the cleat, and then we're going to stick it to the back, and you'll also need somebody to hold this in place for you, because we're going to flip around to the front in a minute and drill some holes before it's dried. Now you can come around to the front and you want to drill some pilot holes for your screws, and you also want to do a short countersink as well so that your screws can sit flush, and then you can pop some wood filler over the top to hide those screws. I recommend you do 3 screws, not the 2 that I did. Then you can pop in your 3 screws, fill the holes, and you are ready to hang your pegboard. What is this face, Nicole? You absolute weirdo. Oh, also one more thing, if you have used the full thickness plywood, so 3/4 inch or an inch, then just pop an extra spacer board down the bottom, just screw it on or glue it on. It's got to be the same thickness as your cleat, and this will just help it sit out from the wall at the same distance. And just in case all of that confused you, here it is again in fast motion. For the shelves, I just cut up some other scrap plywood I had. I made some that were a little bit longer, some were a bit shorter, some spanned 2 of the pegs, some spanned 3, and they were sort of between 15 and 20 centimeters wide each. And then I used a nice face plate on each of the edges just so that nothing would fall off the front, and I just glued and nailed those on. Then I just cut my dowels. I used a circular saw, but you could certainly use a handsaw for these. Sand up the edges, and we're ready to start styling. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, please consider subscribing, and I would love it if you could drop a comment down below, hit the like button. Commenting really helps me, so even if you've got some tips on how I could do things better, feel free to tell me down below. Or if you're making one yourself, don't forget you can tag me on the socials. I am Nicole Herrig DIY on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. You can follow me over there too. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and see you in the next video. Bye.